Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Bum, bum. What did the Giants learn from the Eagles and the Cowboys? Oh, yeah. And it's been pretty much going on, for quite a few years here. Quite a few years. And it was, over the past couple of weeks, when we played the Cowboys, was with the past 4 games, we played with the Cowboys and the Eagles, right? So, I mean, it's very, very evident, right? It's a big boy league. Plain and simple, big boy league. We were able to shut down the Eagles' passing attack. I think Hurts was about 10 out of 14 or 10 out of 15. He didn't pass the ball 30, 40 times, but he didn't have to. But I mean, we sacked him like 1 out of every 4 times he went back to pass. I think he went back to pass like 20 times. We had 5 sacks. So we did a really nice job. Pressure on him, getting pressure on him and all that and everything like that. But once again, it was kind of immaterial. Why? Because once again, the Eagles just ran all over us. When push came to shove, we were able to get some pressure on him and sack Hurts and all that stuff and everything. And but when it came time, they had 269 yards rushing against us. That's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And the Eagles were without Kelsey, their future Hall of Fame center, and Malata, their left tackle. Those guys weren't there. Malata's out. He was injured. And their Hall of Fame center retired. And they still, and so that, I mean, the guy they had to replace Malata was not very good, not a very good pass protector, good at pass protection. He's decent at run blocking, as we saw. But as I said, I mean, you go back a couple of years ago, like the first year that the Giants played the Eagles. I forgot how many yards the Eagles had like 400 something rushing yards against the Giants. Oh, it's there. I mean, this is ungodly. I mean, all right, let's see here. Let's see, 2022 New York Giants. Let's see, how many yards did they give up against the Eagles here rushing? Let's see here. The Giants gave up against the Eagles rushing. The Giants gave up 253. And then, okay, so both games in the one here, the Eagles here, the Eagles, when they beat us 48-22, they had 253 yards rushing, and they had 268 in the playoff game. So in those 2 games, they had over 500 yards rushing. The playoff game and the one game here, they had over 500 yards rushing in 2 games. Yeah, that can't happen. It just cannot happen. You need to have a front. Yeah, that just, Sexy takes up blockers. Whoever else you got's got to consume blockers, and then your linebackers behind. You got to set the edge or what. I mean, it can't happen. It's the same thing here. It just, the thing is that there was multiple things that made this so embarrassing. It's the Eagles. They beat you 28-3 at home. They don't have a great defense. You couldn't even score a touchdown. They beat you 28-3 at home. I mean, then of course to make matters worse, they said the 269 yards rushing is just a joke. That's like high school level kind of crap. I mean, that's just total trash. Absolute total trash. Then of course to make matters worse, Saquon Barkley just ran up. Make it even more of a joke, right? Then the other thing is like what they learned from the Cowboys, right? Is that once one of those head scratchers once again. The Giants playing the Cowboys going into that game. The Cowboys were giving up like 185 yards a game rushing. Right? And just all of a sudden, the Cowboys couldn't stop anybody. But sure, when they played the Giants 24 rushes, 26 yards. It's like, are you kidding me? We averaged 1 yard a carry against the Cowboys. They were giving up. I mean, to be fair, the one game they gave up a ton to the Ravens because they got Jackson, right, and Henry. Two freaking studs, who can run the ball, they can run the lights out of the ball, right? But I mean, so they had some problems stopping the run before that too, and we average 1 yard a carry. Are you kidding me? I mean, then what was it? It was last year, right? The first game of the season. That's when they had a bunch of sacks. The guy said we couldn't stop anybody, right? And it was so bad. They had one of their, I don't remember who it was, one of their defensive linemen. There was a camera guy behind, I don't know if it was NFL Films or it was from the network or whatever, filming the guy, and they were on the sideline. I think I remember, I think the shot was the Cowboys, the defenders had their backs to the camera. They were sitting down like they're sitting on the bench. So the guy's behind the bench, looking out toward the field. But there was one defender, talking to the guys. He's like Oprah Winfrey. You get a sack, and you get a sack, and you get a sack. And they were making fun. It was like a joke. I mean, and we couldn't stop them. Couldn't stop them. Couldn't stop their. They got good. But we couldn't stop them. It was comical. It was horrible. But fast forward to this year, right? They don't have a great defensive line, and we couldn't run. 1 yard a carry, 24 carries for 26 yards. All starts in the trenches. If you can't, I mean, we stopped their. We can't say really stopped their passing. They didn't have to pass. Right? They didn't really have to pass. And I said, against the Cowboys, we couldn't run the ball. And said last year we couldn't stop their pass rushes. It all starts in the trenches. I said, the problem is that like next year is if we need to get a quarterback early on, right? I've been kind of banging the drums, we need somebody next to Sexy. Let's get another, big time stud next to Sexy, right? Maybe we can draft a quarterback in the second round. Who knows? That maybe Dable thinks he can groom, right? That's possible. You never know. But let's get somebody else, another immovable object or something, whatever, on that defensive wall. You know what I mean? Because we can't have this, man. You can't have that. You need to dominate up front. I mean, if you take their passing game away, it's great, But I mean, if you can't stop the run, you know how embarrassing that is, right? The same. Likewise, if you can't run the ball, right? So it's what we've almost year in and year out. What we've learned from the Eagles and the Cowboys. It all starts in the trenches, and once again, the Giants spend a lot of money on the offensive line, which it's gotten better. It's certainly not as bad as it was last year. That's for sure. We're not on pace for 85 sacks. Okay, so we're certainly getting better. And of course, once again, losing Andrew Thomas does not help. Maybe one of these years he can stay healthy. But, losing Andrew Thomas certainly does not help. So, but the offensive line has been better, right? And this is the first year these guys are working together. And hopefully maybe, by the end of the season, if they can remain healthy, maybe, our biggest thing is who the heck are we going to put in there at left tackle to take Andrew Thomas's spot? But and on the defensive front, we got the edge rushers, we got Sexy Dexy. Man, if we can get somebody else in there, a stud in there, a defensive tackle in there, man, that'd be special. As I said, the problem is that if you're going to be drafting a quarterback early, or especially if you it is what I mean. If they're taking a quarterback in the first round, right? Are you going to let one fall to you? Are you going to let 5 or 6 quarterbacks go in front of you and hope one falls to you that you like? Or are you going to go up, maybe jump up and try to grab one? If you do that, it's going to cost you, obviously. Maybe the Giants can do it where it's like, well, I'll tell you what, we want to keep our second-round pick this year. We'll give you our second-round pick next or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But, man, I would love if we get a nice stud. I mean, the Giants have done well. If you go back to like 2000, Cornelius Griffin, right? The Giants have done very well picking like defensive tackles like Dalvin Tomlinson. Maybe not the greatest pass rusher in the world, but pretty good run. I mean, tell you what, the one year when we had Sexy, we had Leo the Lion, and we had Dalvin Tomlinson, right, for that 1 year. We had that was a good run defense we had there. Very good run defense. So if we can keep our second-round pick next year, I said if we're going to take a quarterback in the first, whatever, but early on in the draft, if we can get a nice if we got some money to spend, if you can go out there in free agency and bring in a stud defensive tackle, right? I'm all for it, man. But it all starts in the trenches. If we learn this year in and year out from the Eagles and the Cowboys. And as you say, we try as we might, we're still not catching up to these guys. They're just totally embarrassed. Yeah, year in and year out, it all starts in the trenches. And once again, we keep learning from, I said, the Eagles and the Cowboys. We keep trying, but we're not catching up to them. I said 269 yards rushing against us is just totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
Thank you.